program, which we'll talk about both of those today. And he will do a question and answer. So he'll give a presentation about it, and then he'll do a question and answer about it as well. So with that, we'll get started quickly so we give more time to Jesus. So let's give a hand to our Jesus. Okay, Jesus, can you hear us fine?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I will speak for about, I'm going to speak between 30 and 40 minutes. I'm going to share with you a lot of information, so you better be quickly and pay attention. Because I want to leave at least 20 minutes for question and answers. What I'm going to present to you today is two critical programs that if you are interested in innovation, especially in a university setting, you should know about. So, NSF, as you know, has about $8 billion. Actually, we've passed now the $8 billion mark. And of those $8 billion, around 265, 270 million don't go to fundamental research and education, as NSF is known, but it goes to programs which are designed to move technologies towards the marketplace or to establish partnerships between university and industry. So those programs take place after fundamental research has occurred, and I will speak only today about PFI and SBIR. If you are a graduate student, you should know that there's a program called Intern. Your principal investigator can apply for supplement and give you up to $55,000 or almost $55,000 to do a non-academic internship in a place like a think tank, a company, national lab, not in another university. So the ideal situation is if you are a graduate student, let's say you're finishing your PhD, for instance, like in your last year, this is a great transition. Okay, so let's move on to PFI and SBIR. I'll start with PFI because it's a pre-SBIR program. The bulk of the research takes place in the university, but it shares many of the goals of SBIR, except that we offer these for technologies that are at a much earlier stage. I'm setting already the tone because some SBIR companies come with their academic founders and they think that they can get both SBIR and PFI, and the answer is not. You get one and then the other, but not both at the same time. So our objective is to basically commercialize intellectual property derived from NSF-funded research. And how you commercialize it, we don't really care. It could be licensing, it could be creating a startup, it could be increased corporate sponsor research. The question is, it has to make sense. That's what we look for. And in the process, we want you to establish a collaboration with industry. Okay. Also, very big emphasis on diversity, not because we're cool, but because it's a congressional mandate. And there's something called the American Innovation and Competitiveness Act. I'm saying this because many proposals are failing, just not because they don't have good technology, but because they're failing at things like education issues, which I'll talk about, and the lack of diversity. Now, how does this Partnership for Innovation work? Well, it comes into flavors. We have grants called TT for Technology Translation. They are for up to $250,000, and you can choose how long you want the project to last, up to 24 months. This is applied research, proof of concept, demonstration of commercial potential, prototyping, etc. I'll go into more detail later. And then you have another flavor, which you should not just jump on it just because it's bigger, just because it's $500,000 plus 50,000 over 36 months. Why should you not jump onto this? Because you only apply for it. There are two conditions. One, each institution can only submit one per submission deadline, and we have two submission deadlines, July and January. All of that is in our website, by the way. You apply for RP if it makes sense. If you have a need, because the project is complex, for a multidisciplinary multi-team, multi-organizational approach, and it requires an industry partner, okay? So we go into detail for that. Now, the technology translation, we set up to 250,000. And something very important is it is mandatory that a co-PI or senior personnel, and Laura and Jet can explain what it means to be a co-PI or senior personnel on an NSF grant. One of those slots has to be occupied by a technology commercialization expert in the target field of application. Why? Because this grant or this program is aimed at academic professors, faculty, and their students who want to engage in future commercialization, and I'm using the word future. But most time, the academic researchers stay in their comfort level or comfort zone, so they just come with another research paper which we're not interested in, because we are the only program here at NSF. I'm one of the few in the government that focuses on applied research towards commercialization. So the team has to bring a commercialization expert who is engaged in the program. It does not lending her or his name. Something very important in this program is letters of support. Like in the SBIR program, we need up to 3 letters of support, and they come from folks who are not associated with the grant. So not people who will receive money from it. People who receive money from the grant submit letters of commitment. Okay? So letters of support are critical. If you do not submit a letter of support, your proposal may be returned. And if you do not return it, most likely will kill it in panel. So take note, please. Very good. So we were talking about the RP. We said this is for more complex projects. The TT, you can run it in your own lab. The RP, you cannot. It's not because you don't want to, because you're asking for more money. It's because the project requires a multidisciplinary approach. For that reason, you will have a research partner and mandatory industrial partner. So I guess the rule of thumb is in the PFI-RTT, it is mandatory that you have a technology commercialization expert. In the PFI-RP, it is mandatory that you have an industrial partner. That industrial partner is not there to just submit some shallow letter of support, but it's actually a letter of commitment. There's a bunch of noise. If you guys could mute yourself, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, why do we need a national partner? Well, because the project has to be industry relevant, because this program drives you from academic research towards a specific, hopefully, industry segment. Okay? So the industry segment that you have identified comes with an industrial partner. That partner, a member or employee of that company, must serve as OPI, and that is mandatory. If the industrial partner does not appear on the cover page of a proposal as OPI, we will return it. And if we do not return it, most likely we will not fund it. So there are all kinds of technicalities addressed associated with that comment that I made. You should, if you plan to submit a proposal, the next deadline is July 10th, you should get ready sooner than later. If you leave this type of proposal to the last minute, most likely you're going to fail because it's just completed. Now, the national partner is supposed as well to mentor the students or postdocs and hopefully the faculty that is involved in the project. Okay, so for those of you familiar with the program, we have made a few changes. We cover or we offer funds to projects that come from all fields in science and engineering. If you want to send me something that comes from the social sciences or from chemistry or biology that you think may have future commercial potential, we want to hear about it. Okay? This is just not for engineering. Important to know. But the catch is that it requires an NSF lineage, and I'm going to explain to you what the lineage is. By the way, these slides are part of a webinar that was recorded last year. I gave Maybe I think it was in October or December, and you can find it at www.nsf.gov/PFI. So I'm not going to go through all the slides because you can listen to me if you have nothing better to do on that webinar. Okay. Eligible organizations for this program are not companies. Companies can be associated with the project. In some cases, they can be sub-awardees, but this program is for academic institutions and then public and not-for-profits that engage in technology transfer, or not-for-profits that of any not-for-profits that are not even engaged in research, but that partner with institutional higher education or a consortium of that. So I received too many calls from SBIR companies saying, oh, I'm going to apply to BFI, and the answer is no, you cannot. Okay, you apply to SBIR or SBCR if you come from a company. Now, you partner with a university or any of these organizations if you are in a company. Now, what does it mean, this thing of lineage requirement is kind of complicated, but let me summarize it for you. You come to us in one of two ways. Either you have a research award from NSF, which has 7 digits, and that research is either current or ended within the last 7 years. We've made the judgment call that anything past 7 years, even what it takes to develop hard technologies, may not be worth, because intellectual property may not be, maybe just too old, or things may be already in the public domain. The other way to come to us is to the ICOR Teams Award. Okay, if you have that ICOR of the last 3 years, and I'm talking about the ICOR Teams, not the ICOR site. Okay, the nationals, as they call it somewhere, then you can and should apply to PFI. Very good. We have questions about that later. Now, very important, the things that we do not fund. And this, to a certain extent, looks like what we do not fund in SBIR, except that it's much more early stage. Okay, so the first thing we do not fund is basic science. Okay, so if you're faculty and you just need one more grant, well, do not come to PFI, because you come to PFI when you have a very specific project as part of your larger lab. That project has reached a certain degree of development, or is a very interesting research finding funded by NSF that you think could go maybe towards the marketplace. And then you will engage in technology development. That's when you come to us. But this is not a grant that you just sprinkle among many students in your lab. It doesn't work that way, because we are not a core program like another engineering core program, for instance. Okay? We do not have preclinical or clinical efficacy or safety studies. For that, you should go to NIH. Some people insist on coming to us for drug development or regulatory stuff, and we do not fund it, so please save your effort. As much as we are here to help you with future commercialization, the only thing we fund, both in PFI and SBIR, is R&D. So when you can say, I need money for business development, to look for investors, to meet with companies for my patents, no, we will not fund that. So if you want to kill your proposal, you need to ask for that. Okay? Don't ask for that. The only exception is that if you have not done ICOR, now ICOR becomes mandatory. So if you have done, let's say, an ICOR site, but not the ICOR Teams, the national program, then if you get awarded by PFI, you receive $50,000 and you are mandated to do ICOR. We are developing a cohort that would apply for PFI. If your product is in the marketplace, if this is low risk, doesn't move the needle, incremental, we are not interested. Okay? But in any case, if you have doubts, send me an email. You should go to our website, www.nsf.gov/PFI. There, under the page resources, you have instructions at the bottom of how to request feedback. Okay? That feedback is not mandatory, but it's useful. It will help you save time. Okay, so the industrial partner, very, very important. Mandatory in the RP, the $500,000 track. but encouraged in the TT. What we're seeing is many folks come already with an industrial partner in the TT, so I encourage you to have one because you will be more competitive. The industrial partner has to meet certain characteristics. One is it has to be US-based, it has to have an established record of commercial revenue. So many people are coming with their own startup. Oh, I am my own industrial partner, and the answer is no, it's not going to work. And many proposals are dying because of that. It's a pity. Good technologies. I have even cases where the PI in an academic institution brings not only their own startup, but then they try to give a star award to their own startup, which not only is unethical, but it may be illegal. So don't do that either. Okay? So try to bring a serious established industrial partner that has record of revenue generation from sales. If they have grants and contracts only, that's not good for us. Okay? I know it's difficult, but it's not impossible. Okie dokie. And the good thing is that an industrial partner can be for profit or not for profit. So what time is it? I have to rush. Okay. That industrial partner is not there to get money from you. It's not there just to give you a letter. We ask the question to the reviewers, do you think the industrial partner read the proposal that these folks are submitting? And the answer most of the time is not, because there's no alignment between what the industrial partner is saying and what the proposal is writing. So pay attention to that. We are looking for a specific relationship. We're looking for a strategic interest from the industrial partner in a future commercialization of your current technology. Okay? You may need vendors or service providers. That's fine. You can ask for money for that, but these are not industrial partners. And then if you have an SBIR company, they can act as an industrial partner, but and by the way, they can get some money, but people are committing, as I said before, many errors by just using PFI as a funnel to SBIR. The ideal SBIR leader partner is a company that is not associated with you. Okay, it's a company that has a specific technology that you need, or they're advanced. But if it is just a one-person startup, it's not going to apply. Now, we have changed the PFI program, which by the way has been around since 2002 at least, dramatically, in order to help the community determine what is important, what do we want. So there's certain elements that you cannot ignore. Okay, when we receive a proposal, the first thing we do is, are these portions in there or not? So we're talking about technology development, demonstration of commercialization potential, partnerships, education, broad participation, and I'm going to go through some of these issues. Just so we spoon feed you and you don't make mistakes, the solicitation is extremely prescriptive. Each section in the project description has a title, and you must use that title. Okay, and we're doing that so when you write, you know what we are asking for. Not only that, the solicitation, which is again an RFP, a request for proposals, has for each one of these sections the questions that you kind of need to answer. So we are trying to make it very easy for you. The link below shows that where that document is, and you will have it as well on the little website nsf.gov/PFI. So the first question, and the most important, is okay. You start with a basic science project that you had, and you describe it. Then you show us what you think will be the future product or service and the need that that product or service will meet. Okay? We'll not go into the details of how you do that. It's written in the solicitation, and these are slides which I will be sending to Jed and Laura after the webinar. So you show us first the science you have, and second, the future product or service you want to develop. In the middle, there's a big gap, right? You can call it the valley of death, you can call it whatever you want, but what you need to tell us in the next section, which is called technical challenges and applied research, is what is preventing you from going from the basic science into that product or service, those knowledge gaps, those technical barriers, and the next thing you do there is describe a research plan, applied research plan that addresses those gaps and barriers, not all of them, but the most critical ones. And just so you know that we are not just funding academic research. You need to provide success metrics, a risk assessment and mitigation plan, milestones, etc. I can already tell you that most people fail to provide success metrics and risk assessment and mitigation plan, milestones, etc., and for that reason they don't get money. So do not ignore it. That's why you have to write the proposal very early. Okay. The next thing is what happens after the money runs out. Are you going to just ask for another grant? Are you going to go SBIR? Are you going to find investors? Are you going to create a startup? Are you going to license this to somebody? That's where your technology transfer office, which you tend to always leave on the wayside, has to come and help you. Because this PF5 project, by the way, is critical for the tech transfer operations. It's just that for some reason they don't know. Not that they don't know, but they don't even know that the technology commercialization expert could come from that office and they can claim a salary if they want to. Okay, so we want to know how are you going to bring this to market after the grant ends. It's a part of sustainability of that commercialization effort that is critical to us. We want to, I know you will not have all the answers, but we want to know if you have the right questions. How do you, and we want to know whether you're thinking about it. When the language becomes too fuzzy, it means you're not taking it this seriously. Or you are not well advised by your technology commercialization expert. That's when we give a call to Jed and Laura and say, hey, guys, what are you doing here? The other very important thing is the team. Folks who write these proposals tend to think it's just about the professor. And we have turned the tables. The team includes either master's or PhD students and or postdocs. And the participation is mandatory. We're going to go into that in detail. So we want to know as well what are the motivations of those students or postdocs. Okay? And the other thing I need to insist, as I said before, is that those experts in commercialization or the national partner are critical part of the team. Okay, we spoke about partnerships. As I said before, it's not about telling me a funny story that I can believe, oh my God, they have a letter from such and such company. No, we read the proposal and we ask ourselves, is the partner involved in the writing of the proposal? Which means, is the partner involved in the planning of this research? Because we're looking for that catalytic effect of the partnership, okay? It's a 1 + 1 = 5. Okay, now, very, very important. We have turned the tables on PF5 because we realize that most projects fail because the students come and go, and the postdocs come and go. So what we're going to do is the opposite. We are telling folks, okay, now you have to pay the tuition. We will pay for it, or with PF5 funds. If you're a master's or PhD student, you should work full-time on this and nothing else, except if you have teaching or education time. If you're a postdoc, you need to put at least 50% of your non-teaching time. And we will pay for that, and we also encourage for additional compensation if legal and needed. But that education plan, we make you, if you're a student or a postdoc, we make you hopefully the next entrepreneur, the next innovator. For that reason, the institution working with your PI and with you, you have to define learning objectives, outcomes, and an assessment plan. This is just not about you getting money for your grant. For that, you can get money from many other agencies or programs at NSF. Okay? So what will happen after the 2 to 3 years of you working as a student or postdoc in this program? Will you be a better innovator? Will you be ready to create a startup or not? This is very important, and I can give you the bad news. Most proposals are failing because they write that in 5 minutes thinking that it's a soft topic, and actually it's a harsh topic. We are making it critical. And by the way, it's just not about submitting, saying, oh, we're going to do ICOR because as you have done it, 50% of our teams have done it before coming here, or we're paying for it if you haven't done it, so don't tell me you have to go beyond. ICOR is just a portion of it, okay? And if you are the student or postdoc, you must be trained or mentored by either the national partner or the technology commercialization expert. And we're going to look at that mentorship plan as well. Okay. The portion of grant participation is critical, is mandated by a law called the American Innovation and Competitiveness Act that requires that we increase diversity in all dimensions in entrepreneurship, technology translation, and innovation. And most people fail at creating a credible participation plan. So provide one. Okay. So most of you are interested in commercialization. You don't know where to go. Should I do a PFI or SBIR? Should I do both? Etc. The answer to both is no. Do one or the other, or one after the other. If you submit both, well, disclose it, tell us. So it makes sense, but to submit both. But we don't do overlapping funding. So if you submit to both, it has to be complementary. One way to start thinking about it is, well, if the work and the intellectual property is still at the university. If this is the case, then you go PFI. Now, if the work is already and the intellectual property is already in the small business, then you should go SBIR. There are other connotations here, which is SBIR CTR is more product development, if you want. PFI is still between early stage product development. It's between proof of concept and proof of principle, whereas SBIR is more proof of principle or past that. The other thing is SBIR is 200 plus million, PFI is only 22 million. But good companies, good PFI projects that come here are those who have failed in SBIR because they're too early. Here you have the website that you need to look. There's all the information there. Please look at it. And now I'm going to move to SBIR very quickly. And then we'll take questions. So give me a minute, please. I will stop sharing for a minute. 1 second. You can stretch your legs if you need for a minute while I set up the slides. And now I just need to find a way to share my screen. 1 second, please. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Yes or no? Okay, thank you. Very good. So we move now to SBIR. Let's say that you have received great service from Laura and Jed and the whole Technology Entrepreneurial Center. You've done your I-Core, and you realize that you are too far away for PFI, that actually you will start raising money, that you have an I-Core go decision or a go decision in your I-Core training for many other reasons, or maybe because you just want to create a company, and that's fine with me. You go directly to SBIR, right? So we're going to go very, very quickly to those slides because you have an amazing website called seedfund.nsf.gov that you should look. By the way, when you contact a program director at NSF, do your homework, okay? Some people are lazy, they don't read all the documentation we have in those websites and solicitations, and you come with these stupid questions. And you come with these stupid questions. Forgive me to use that term, you shouldn't use stupid, you should use the term uninformed. You need to have done your homework. And I am not going to do your homework for you. You need to demonstrate that you are on top of your game, because this is extremely competitive. We receive at least 2,000 proposals a year, oftentimes 2,500 proposals. So you need to be in the top 10, top 15%. Okay? So do your best. Always when you interact with NSF, put your best foot forward. You want to always look good. Okay? But being also honest, we are here to help you and to help you grow and learn, so don't fake it either. Of the $200 million that we give a year, you can get up to $1.5 million over this space of 4 years or 5 years. And I'm going to show you how you do that. You do that by, you have a startup company that you have to register in different websites, SAM.gov, Fastlane, etc., and SBIR.gov. And you do that very soon, because if you wait the week before the deadline, it's too complicated. And if you have a groundbreaking high-impact, high-risk technology, then that impact being considered commercial and societal, then we will give you some money starting at $225,000 for a phase one. The good news is that we cover all topics that could come to your imagination, except for military stuff. We launched a new topic called space in collaboration with NASA. Each one of these little topics that you see there, those are areas. When you click on the arrows, there may be 5, 6, 7 topics or subtopics within each. And it's designed for you to not have excuse not to submit a proposal. Okay? These topics are designed to attract as many applications as possible. So there's no reason or no way you could not submit a proposal to us. And we have a new project, a new mechanism called Project Pitch that helps you determine if your proposal is a fit with us. So you don't waste your time writing a proposal. We know it's how to work. We don't want you to write a proposal if it's not a fit. Okay? Even if you have doubts about is your topic a fit, we have another topic called Other Topics, where everything goes almost. Very good. These are our program directors, my colleagues. I used to be an SBIR program director for many years. There's something common among all these people, and is that their eyes are open, which means that they don't give money with their eyes closed, and they're going to check you out and check your proposal. They're going to do a lot of due diligence in collaboration with the panels that review your proposals. So, as you can see from their these pictures, they're very smart, and they know their stuff. So, don't take it. You have to do the best thing. Put your best foot forward when you write a proposal, and be always very honest. Okay? Don't try to build a story that doesn't hold together. Why do you need to do this? Why are you welcome to do it? Because 91% of the phase one awardees have never got money from the government in the form of a phase two. Never. So we are really focused on the really, really early. We are even pre-seed, okay? Many companies start with us. Then they forget, when they're successful, they forget to tell the public that we got them started, but it's okay. 89% of the company have less than 5 employees. Oftentimes a professor and a student. 72% of the companies are less than 3 years old. And the majority of awardees here, this is the first SBIR grant ever. Okay, so this is why you have to come to NSF. And we give around 400. We fund around 400 startups a year. And your institution has a great track record. So, and then Laura and Jill are very smart and good looking. So, and everybody loves them. That's what I'm told. I don't know if that's true. Okay. The chance of success, if you go through phase two, is to be enormous. Our portfolio companies have generated $6.5 billion in total through equity. We have seen over the last few years 90 successful exits, and it's only between 2014 until now. That's pretty impressive, okay? So why shouldn't you be one of them? Let me give you a few examples. I'm going to go very quickly. Innovative design, Gigabyte X. There are videos there. Thousand Eyes, and Sponge. Yay. There you have it. Okay. Opus 12. Diligent. This is a company that I created. I founded. Really called Diligent Robotics. Clear Flame. Ginkgo Bioworks, if I'm not wrong, this has been close to $300 million exit. Public record, by the way, I'm not disclosing any information that is confidential. So how does this work? We start you with $225,000, phase one, for a proof of concept of feasibility study. You choose how long it should be, 6 to 12 months. When you choose how long it is, we're going to already see how smart you are at planning. If you're in educational technologies, you could say 6 months, fine. But when you are in more complex things, 12 months may not even be enough. So when you're going to go too fast or too slow, we're already going to evaluate your ability to execute and plan. Because this is taxpayer dollar money. So we're giving to you, we take out of risk, but we're going to measure that risk. Okay? Now, you can submit a project pitch anytime, even this afternoon if you want, and we will give you advice. I'm going to tell you how it works. Depending on when your phase 1 expires, then you apply for a phase 2, $750,000, not bad, it's a 2-year grant. That helps you already move that proof of concept through iterations of prototyping, etc. Okay? If you don't have a phase 1, then you cannot apply for a phase 2. Whether, at this time we are not accepting phase 2 from other agencies that come from a phase 1 that is got from another agency. Now, we reviewed these proposals according to 3 pillars. One is intentional merit, basically how innovative this is it high risk or not, I need to hurry up. The broader impact, which is the benefit to society, and then very important, the commercial potential. Okay? And Jeff can help you with all of these things, and Laura as well. Now, we have a new way for you to submit to us. You start with something called a project pitch. It's on our website. You should look how to do it. And basically, this allows you to get very quick feedback from us and then get an invitation. And you can do that anytime. There's a window of 3 months. We're running a pilot now and then another pilot in the fall. Hopefully this will work well, and then we'll have it as a standard. We'll see. So before you start writing a proposal, what you do is you write a project pitch, a 2-pager, and you send it, and we'll give you feedback within 3 weeks. Okay. The first section of that project pitch is the technology innovation, no more than 500 words, where basically you tell us what innovation you're planning to develop, right? So where does it come from? Why it fits the SBIR program? Why is it high impact, high risk, etc. The second section is the technical objectives and challenges, right? It looks very familiar to PFI because we are kind of a family of products, of programs. So here you're going to be describing in 500 words, by the way. It can be very technical, all of this is confidential, so don't come with things that are cryptic because you think we're going to share with anybody. No, this is always a submission. Be specific, okay? So describe the work you're going to do, why this work will help you obtain that proof of concept, means say the concept of a product or a service, why that work will help you determine whether this is feasible or not, how are you going to de-risk technology, etc., right? Therefore, you have to tell us that this is just not chopped liver, that this is just not incremental, straightforward engineering, which we do not fund. The third section is only 250 words, but it's a market opportunity, right? Where are you going from here? Describe the customer profile, pain points, etc. And the fourth section is you and your company. Even if the company is 2 people, it's okay. Do not worry about it. We just need to know who you are. So if you're just 3 people, let's say the 3 folks who come from an ICOR team, that's enough. So, where do you come from, who you are, what these folks bring to the table, that's what we want to know in this section 4. So, how does it work? Well, we are going to review this in 3 weeks using the same criteria that we would use for a full proposal. Okay? And then what happens? Well, if there's a good fit, you're going to be invited to submit a full proposal. During this year of pilot, if you're not invited, you cannot submit a proposal. But we're being kind, so, most cases are being invited unless they are completely wrong. And we will give you some feedback with that invitation, okay, on how to submit the proposal, etc. Now, if there's not a fit, well, it's okay. There's no need to panic. We're going to give you feedback very, very quickly. But you have to go back to the drawing board. We will tell you why NSF would not fund this. And then you can submit, again, after you've worked on this pitch. In this 3-window submission term, you can provide up to 2 pitches, so which is pretty cool, right? Because before you would submit a proposal, you have to wait 6 months. Now, within a period of 3 months, you get up your pitch, it doesn't work, you submit it again, and then maybe you get approved. If your pitch is incomplete, well, we're going to ask you for more information, and the brand director, one of those smiley people that I showed you, smiley but very tough, but very kind, will be in touch with you. So, the submission deadlines is actually more of a window. You can submit a full proposal at any time after invitation from March 4th through June 13th, and then between June 14th and December 12th. Do not wait to submit a project pitch on June 10th because you still have to write a proposal. And things get kind of crazy, people tend to leave it at the last minute. So submit your project pitch, work with Laura and Jed, and any other person who can help you in your institution. And we should get back to you very quickly. After that, you write your proposal, submit it. As I said before, there are 4 systems that you need to register your company. That is not for the pitch, it's just for the proposal. As I said, it was SAM.gov, DANS, SBIR.gov, and Fastlane. It can take up to a month to do all of that, so you have to start already. Don't leave it, please. Okay, so 2 pitches accepted per window. If you submit a pitch, you must wait until you hear back from us before you submit another pitch. Don't you think that by submitting 40 pitches you're going to get it? No, it doesn't work that way. We have things called computers in this organization, and we know our staff, we know where they are, okay? We're not a bunch of people stamping paper. We will respond to your pitch if you submit it, so just be patient. Now, if you think you're waiting for more than 3 weeks, it may be fair, or a month, then it may be fair that you send us a note, say, hey, what's happening? Very good. Okay, so this is our website, citfund.nsf.gov/apply. And this is a copy of the page. So after 3 weeks to know whether your project is a good fit, that's really cool. Okay? And there's an online form there that you can submit, that you will use to submit your pitch. So this is a pilot. We're trying to help you save your time and also save time for the brand directors, which means that the award rate in the SBIR program should increase. Okay, we'll see what happens. Very good. So any questions? We have, I have a few. I can speak with you for a while. I have half an hour, but I think you have only 20 minutes. Questions?
We can take questions over the phone. I also have the chat open for those who are remote, so if you want to just chat me your question, I can also ask it that way.
I'll start out with an initial question. What's the award rate for the PFI program? We know what the SBIR program is. How does it stack up with PFI?
It's changing. Last year it was close to 30%.
Oh.
This year I cannot disclose it yet because the decisions are in the process of making them. Until NFS starts sending notes, we will not know, but it's going to be high. Next year, it will be lower. It will be lower because we expect many proposals to come. The bottom line is the program is around $22 million a year. So, writing a PFI proposal, the way we prepare the solicitation, helps you put your ideas together. The worst thing that could happen is that you don't get the money, but I promise, you have my solemn promise that you will get very good feedback through the reviews. And I never get complaints, so it means you can get some value out of it, in addition to get $250,000.
Good question. All right, other questions?
We have one online.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
this is David. I'm from University of Michigan. Yeah, so I have a question about the SBIR proposal application this year. So if I submit a pitch and get evaluated in this current time window, must I submit a full proposal before June 13th, or can I just submit a full proposal after June 13th in the next time window?
Well, ideally, you have submitted your pitch as soon as possible, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, as you saw, the windows are like touching each other, so this is very quick. It's a very quick process. The bottom line is the following. You submit your pitch, if you get invited, you submit your proposal, and then NSF under the guidelines has up to 6 months to award you, because we are removing a lot of projects that are not at all meritorious to the pitch. Then one would expect that you hear from us in 4 or 5 months. But then there are issues, sometimes that there are things outside of our control. For instance, the shutdown, have that out of business for 35 days. So we have delays, but we hope that under NSF guidelines, we have up to 6 months to get back to you. As I said before, around 4 or 5 months you already know where we are. And many cases, you get the money at the 5th month. Now, what happens is that if you have never received money from NSF, there's a bit more supervision there and oversight, but it should be okay.
Okay, yeah. So I think the short answer is that we can submit in the next time window, right? The after the
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but make sure that you get an answer from the prime director as well, okay?
Okay.
With whom you are contacting, but the answer is yes. The answer is yes, but you should confirm always after you receive the invitation.
Okay. Yeah. So
Bottom line, if you're committed to do this, just go ahead and do it. There's no need to wait.
Okay. That's it.
Okay,
Then how?
All right, we do have a question online. Can you receive PFI funding and SBIR funding at the same time? If so, is this a feasible approach?
It is very difficult to write proposals of such quality at the same time. It's very difficult. My suggestion is it depends where you are. Are you already at the SBIR stage or are you PFI? Did you just finish a set of fundamental research studies and you think that you have something, a proof of concept, and you don't have a company, you have not even I-Core, then you come to PFI. Now, 40% of the teams who come to PFI have already done I-Core, so it's getting more and more competitive. Hi.
This is my question. Sorry, I can just update you. I didn't realize I could chat or talk on here. So we'll be coming up to the regional and national I-Core, and we're looking at the July PFI deadline, and we're wondering if we should apply for that, and then wait for a response, and then if it's a yes, basically not apply for SBIR, or we'll cut your outline here.
Okay, so, you could submit also the pitch. What it is illegal is obtain duplicated funding, okay? It is illegal.
Right.
Don't do it. Obtain the funding, but you could apply. What you could do is submit the pitch already and see what they tell you, because it's 3 weeks. If you submit a PFI, it's more classic timeline. You start hearing from us around the 4th month. For instance, our bad news for PFI will start going out hopefully in 2 weeks from now, although they were submitted in January. So you see, it takes for months at least. It is not about timing as it is about where you are. I know you're desperate to start, etc. It depends whether there's the thing is in place for PFI. Because it's just not about, hey, let's go get a grant. What you should do is maybe send me an email with your questions, and I'll try to address them and give you better advice. I'm not giving you an answer specifically because there's no specific answer. It depends where you are, which stage. If you think you can raise a seed fund from a private sector next year, maybe SBIR is the way to go. You have already your company, go, don't waste your time.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Carl.
This is Carl Reinhardt at University of Illinois. My question pertains to SBIR, and it has 2 components. First is that I see that there are some preferences, but I'm specifically interested in preferences for small or for veterans small business initiatives? Because I don't see that specifically within the NSF criteria.
Everybody's welcome to participate. What we have, and small businesses are, obviously this program is only for small businesses, meaning to say small businesses that are eligible for SBIR CTR under the SBIR Act. That means less than 100 employees, owned and or controlled by U.S. individuals, and there are a couple of more. But regarding veterans, well, everybody who comes here is treated the same way. We don't have a program for veterans, except that SBIR companies and also SBIR companies can apply for a supplement to hire a veteran. That is the specific program that we have. But this is not like the SBA, for instance, that may have a program just for veterans, although we very strongly encourage veterans to apply.
So the second part of the question has to do with the funding windows. So, for instance, you have a window that closes on the 13th of June. If you don't submit to until, say, the 20th of June, does that imply there's a 6-month delay to your expected funding?
Not necessarily, no, because our fiscal year goes from October 1st to September 30 of the following year. So if we are offering windows, it's because we have money for it. If we have a proposal, it's because we have money for it. So I will not worry about it.
So the windows aren't that significant in terms of the timelines you'd expect to get funding?
No. Focus, I don't want to be impolite, but focus on your project. Try to bring the best proposal you can, and let us do our job. Because if there's a window where you can submit proposals, it's because there is money for it. We cannot, by law, offer a project for which a program for which there's no money allocated. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, other questions?
There were a few questions by text or chat. I could not read them. They went away far. But
No.
maybe you can look at the chat.
Yeah, there are none that have come through on chat.
So we answered all the
We
online.
answered all the ones that were online.
Okay. All right, we're right at the top of the hour. Any last questions?
Okay.
Any other last questions?
Don't be shy. Sorry, I sounded a bit harsh.
Allison, did you have a couple questions you wanted to ask for clarification?
Checking to see whether you copy these slides after the conference, after this WebEx?
Yes, I sent it to Laura and Jet, and they will distribute them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, last chance. Going once, going twice? Okay, one question. All right.
I just want to ask probably a stupid question. So, what is the difference between SBIR and STTR?
Okay, Jesus, the question is the difference between STTR and SBIR.
Okay, so both of them originally were created under different laws, but fast-tracking to today at NSF, because every agency may manage it differently, at NSF the difference is very little. The key difference is the following. If you do STTR, you need to give at least, I would say up to, I forgot now, there's a percentage, around, let's say 30% of the money has to go to an academic institution or a not-for-profit research institution. Okay, you are mandated to, actually can go up to, you can do as little as 40% of the work in your company and the rest of the money goes to the university. In SBIR, it's the opposite. If you do SBIR, 2/3 of the work, as measured by the budget, have to stay in the company. And the other third could go to consultants, universities, etc. That is the key amount, the key difference for us here at NSF. For the rest, we put them all in the same panels, there are no topical differences, etc. Something you have to be careful about is sometimes if your SBIR or if your company is not as affiliated with the academic lab with whom you want to partner, you will say, okay, I'm going to find a partner in academia, I'm going to do CTR, and I'm going to give them a bunch of money. Their job is not to create companies, their job is to teach and to research. So you need to make sure that they will deliver on that. Many, both SBIRs and CTRs who depend dramatically on an academic lab may fail because their interests and priorities are different. Also, when you're in SBIR in phase 1, you can move to CTR in phase 2 or vice versa. Many STTRs in phase 1 move to SBIR in phase 2 because they are more self-sufficient and they don't want to give us our awards to university. If each one comes under different solicitation and both solicitations are on that website, seedfund.nsf.gov.
That's it. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Jesus. And I'd like to, again, thank Jesus for coming. And Jesus was the program director at NSF that helped us launch the AWARE program and funded the AWARE program for the last several years. And so he's been a great supporter of the programs here in commercializing technology out of the university. So Jesus will send us the slides. We'll get them sent out. And again, Jesus, thanks for participating today, as always.
Thank you very much, guys. Good luck with everything. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. Okay, so what the plan is I will I will stick around. As what we always do on this workshop is I've got some slides where I will talk about commercialization plan, and you're welcome to stay. I think most people usually stick around, but if you have to leave, you're feel free to leave. And I've got some slides where I will talk about the commercialization plan, and I will also talk about what it's like to sit on a panel. Okay, because I regularly review for the NSF. And so I'll talk about what it's like for a reviewer and answer any questions, and I can go till about a quarter to, so I've got about 40 minutes or so that I can talk about that. And we'll pull this up. And for those that, and we have people still online?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. And so I'm happy to go through those and answer any questions that anybody has. So before I do that, Catherine's getting the slides up here. Are there any specific questions people would like me to address or try to address on that? So I think Roland has covered the technical work plan. We covered, on the first workshop, we covered like setting up a plan to get the proposal done and just kind of the overview of like what an SBIR plan is. And so on this one, the other main component that we really haven't addressed is what is a commercialization plan and what kind of goes into it. So that's kind of what I'll try to cover here. Is there any other specific things you'd like me to address here? Yeah.
In my session, I also didn't cover letters of support, so you want to make sure to include information on that.
I think I've got that in here, I believe so.
As I recall, you did.
Yes, because that's like one of the most important things that I think is to a solid SBIR. Any other thoughts, any other questions? Good point, Roland. Yes, no? Nothing? Okay. All right, so I will just go through this. So, this clicker doesn't work. All right. Okay, so agenda. So what I'll do is I'll talk about the objectives of the SBIR, what we're trying to accomplish with that. I'll talk about the panel review process, like what it looks like when you go out to NSF and you go, because I think that's important. I've always think it's important because it helps me think, like as I write SBIR proposals, it helps me think about how to craft an SBIR proposal, because you always think about who's actually reviewing these. Then I'll talk about sections of commercialization plan, and then some of the pitfalls that people that are writing them for the first time often do or commit. And then optics, I've got a couple of pages out of an SBIR proposal. I think that's important because I've seen some teams that, as I've sat on proposal or panels in the past, over the years, I've seen some get rejected because they just don't look like an NSF proposal. So I've just got a couple of pages there. But if you've ever written an NSF proposal or a government or pretty much for any agency, you know what they look like. But I've got a couple of pages from one there that'll be good. Okay, so just briefly, my background, so I've been an entrepreneur in residence here for probably, 8 or 9 years or so. I'm the executive director of the Technology Entrepreneur Center on campus. So I helped start a company out of the computer science department that incubated here at EnterpriseWorks. The company was Pattern Insight. I think that was a really important experience because we were funded by SBIR proposals. We also raised venture capital, but if it wasn't for the SBIR proposals, we'd have probably been out of business a couple of times. So we went through the whole process. We did phase 1, at the time there was a phase 1B, then we did phase 2, phase 2B, and then we had some supplements in there as well. And then I've helped several other companies over the years, like many companies, write their proposals as well. And I can't speak highly enough about the process. I think it's just my philosophy has always been you can't just live on SBIR proposals. It should be a tool in your toolkit. It can't be your only tool or you're going to be in trouble because it's the funding's not always steady. It's just you're in trouble if it's your only source of revenue. So my philosophy has always been it should just be another tool in your toolkit, or you're just going to be in trouble and it's going to be stressful. So that's kind of what my philosophy's been. I've spoken at the SBIR conference a few times, and it's been a few years since I've done that, but I've been asked to do that a few times. And a frequent SBIR panel reviewer. Okay. I'll be honest with you, I haven't looked at this for probably 6 months or a year. I think this is still pretty consistent. Roland can correct me if he sees anything wrong in there, but I think this is still very consistent. Typically, you've got the elevator pitch that's an hour or a page. You've got 2 to 4 pages of the commercial opportunity. I think basically think about it like this. About half of your proposals, the commercial opportunity, which I think is the commercialization plan. The other half is the technical. That's really what I think about it as. When you go to and I think about it as it's kind of consistent with what a panel looks like when you go to NSF. Their panel review has half commercial reviewers and half technical reviewers. And I always feel like when I always am a technical reviewer or a commercial reviewer, and they have people like me that are technical in nature, but not necessarily in the background of the field. And they give equal weight to both sides of the discussion, is how I've always felt like it. So I just think it's just the proposal always reflects that. And you can write this down, but there's not really a need to, because if you go to the solicitation every year for the SBIR, or for the actual proposal, it tells you exactly what needs to go into this. So you can always get it from the current solicitation. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about what a panel review process looks like. Okay, you go to the NSF and you get in a room like this, and they always have, everyone I've been on has always been very consistent, that they always try to have about 6 reviewers on the panel. Sometimes there's maybe one less or one more, just depending on if somebody had to drop out at the last minute. But it's always consistent that there's usually half technical reviewers and half commercial reviewers. Like I said, I'm always a commercial reviewer because that's my background. And I'm a technical person, I have a couple of computer science degrees. But I may be on a panel that is about materials. I've done a lot of materials panels. And so, but they always say that the commercial reviewers can be technically agnostic. Like it doesn't matter what panel I sit on, because they want me to review the commercial side. And then they'll have technical reviewers that they try to get the technical reviewers to have a background in the area that the proposals are in. Okay, so that's kind of the composition of the panels that they put together. Okay. The process is, I think this is an important part. If it's a phase 1, oh, and let me also just say that I'm speaking in general about NSF SBIR process. The other agencies are a little bit different, but I'm speaking, my area of expertise is NSF. The phase 1, on a phase 1 panel, the reviewers typically have 10 to 12 proposals on the ones I've always been on. On a phase 2 panel, it's anywhere from, I've had some where I've only had 2 or 3 proposals, up to as many as 6. Okay? And I think it's important to note what a packet for a single proposal looks like. For a phase 1, a proposal will be somewhere around 50 pages. That's 50 when it's all said and done. The actual proposal itself is 15 pages. But if you've ever put one together, all the supplementary information that goes into that, it ends up being about 50 pages. when you look at the CDs, the data management plan, the facilities plan, all of those documents, and it generates, Fastlane will generate some computer-generated documents as well. It's about 50 pages. A phase 2 proposal is about 100 pages. I would say sometimes you get a light one that's about 80, sometimes you get one that's a little bit thicker that's about 120. So it's anywhere in that, that range from 80 to 120, okay? So I think it's important that you keep that in mind, how thick those proposals are. So if I'm a reviewer on a phase 2 proposal or a phase 2 panel, I'm gonna end up with anywhere from like 500 pages to 600 pages that I have to review, right? And I'm gonna read every one of those pages. Some closer than others, but as a panel reviewer, I'm gonna read all of those pages. Every one of their panel members is gonna read all of those pages. And on a phase 1, it's a similar, you're gonna get 500 pages. And my experience is, you're gonna try your best, but you're often gonna download those like the week before and start reviewing those. Okay? Now, I think about this. Now, the reason why I think it's important to understand this is, think about human nature, right? If you're a reviewer, you're gonna try your best to review these. Think about this, like if I'm writing a proposal, I think the panel reviewers have 600 pages to review before they go to a panel review, right? They're probably going to download these the week before. What do you want your proposal to read like, right? Do you want them to fall asleep as they try to review your proposal? Like, and I'll tell you, most academic proposals are like, they make you want to fall asleep. Right, Craig? I mean, come on, right? Craig, I mean, come on.
Well, I gotta tell you, from my experience in the Army, put the bottom line up front, get their attention,
Yes,
and don't lead them on
that's
a
right.
wild goose chase, trying to figure out what you're trying to do.
That's exactly right. So that's how I use this information. Like, I think it's critical. This is what I always try to do. Don't write it like an academic proposal. Write it like something that catches people and brings them in. So I always think it's critical, especially like when you're writing your commercialization plan, that you want to write it, so right at the very beginning, just like Carl said, is you write it and you catch them right at the beginning with something that's interesting, and you make the reader want to care and read the rest of the proposal. Because there's a lot of them you read and you're just like, oh, geez, this is awful, and I don't even know what they're doing. As opposed to like, you read one at the beginning, you read one and you read it right at the beginning, and it's like, oh, there's a real world problem here that needs to be solved. This is important, this is a big problem, it's got a huge impact, and I understand what they're doing, and I want to read the rest of this proposal. Right? And I want to understand how they're solved. Right? I mean, so I think about that. It's just human nature, right? And so I just think it's important that you understand that as you're reading it. Think like a reviewer, right? That what are they going to want to read? So just keep in mind, the stack as you print it out is about that thick. Okay? So that's why I put that in there. Just keep in mind what they look like. Okay.
So what's the kind of time frame that you have to review these? To review all these in the space of one day?
No, so I don't do that. Okay. Now I'm confident there's some that start like a couple of days before. I will typically review them over the course of a week. Is what I as a reviewer typically do. You typically get them a couple of weeks before, but I have found if I review them a couple of weeks before, I forget. Like when I go to the panel, it's not on the top of my mind. So I'll start about a week before, and I'll break them up over the course of that week, and I take good notes. And then when I show up to the panel, I've got it. So let me tell you how the panel works.
Yeah, that's more, I think, the voting process.
So as what happens on the panel is you show up. Everybody comes with their notes, and you've got and you can see what the review criteria is on the website, right? They provide you the information on the website. You show up, it's public, like it tells you, here's the things you should look for in the review, okay? Then is what happens is you show up to the panel, and you go through, there's time allocated for each proposal. And then every time I've been, and I've been quite a few times, and they're all the same, so I assume that they're all run this way, is what happens is there is a lead scribe, there's a lead reviewer and a scribe assigned to each proposal, and then you go through each proposal, and the lead reviewer discusses the proposal. He leads the discussion. And then there's anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes allocated to each proposal. But the lead person kind of just leads the discussion. And he kind of gives like a brief 5-minute overview of like, this is what the proposal is, this is the problem they're solving, here's what I thought about it. And then you have a discussion about that proposal.